Dr. Emily Lin and the Associate Dean of the Graduate College. And I'm thrilled to welcome you to our 10th annual Rebel Grad Slam 3-minute thesis competition. The 3-minute thesis or 3MT competition model was developed at the University of Queensland in Australia in 2008. It spread to other universities in Australia and New Zealand in 2009 and 2010. By 2011, the 3MT competition phenomena had spread around the globe, and now more than 600 universities from more than 65 countries hold this competition. In 2014, UNLV held our first 3MT, the Rebel Grad Slam competition, and this year, it is our 10th anniversary, and so we are enjoying this research rumble for the 10th time. All right, the 3MT is a fantastic opportunity for students to learn how to convey who they are, what they study, why they study it, how they study it, and what they found or expect to find, and why it matters to an audience of folks who are mostly outside of their field. It is also an opportunity to build public speaking and communication skills and to polish one's elevator speech describing what they are studying as graduate students. It's worth noting that our slammers come from all over campus and from a wide range of disciplines. Some are first-year students, some are in their final year, some slammers are master's students, others are more advanced doctoral candidates. It's a diverse pool of over 90 graduate students competing this week. So today, we have a group of UNLV graduate students who have been randomly assigned to compete in this preliminary session. Each will present their research in 3 minutes or less, using just one slide and no props. We will introduce each student and then start the timer. And if a student goes over 3 minutes, unfortunately, they will be eliminated from the competition. Slammers are encouraged to pace themselves and use their 3 minutes without going over. It's not easy, but it's what the 3MT is all about. So, slammers, please make sure to keep your microphone on mute and video off when other competitors are presenting. Only turn on your microphone and video when you are presenting. Please be sure to stay for the entire session, even after you have done presenting. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat in between presenters, and please don't use the chat during anyone's presentation as it may be distracting. You may sit or stand while presenting. Remember, you only have 2 minutes and 59 seconds. And only one chance to compete. After I introduce you, our Zoom host will advance to the presentation slide and you may begin your presentation. Once you begin speaking, we will start the timer and you will not be able to restart the presentation unless something beyond your control occurs. You will be able to see the Zoom timer on your screen on the upper right-hand side. Please don't stop unless I stop you. Don't worry though, if you lose Wi-Fi or are disconnected, please just join back in. We'll wait a minute for you and then go on to the next presenter. If that happens, you can redo your presentation at the end. And please remember that you may not read your presentation or use any notes on your screen or in front of you. Now let's turn our attention to the scoring for this research rumble. The judges will be assessing the competitors based on metrics, which total 24 possible points in 4 major categories that include comprehension, content, engagement, and communication. Each judge will independently score each competitor. Judges will not penalize competitors for unanticipated disruptions that are beyond the slammer's control. And at the end of the presentations, we will tally the judges' combined scores for each grad slammer and announce the winners right here, live today, tonight. The top 3 in this session will advance to the semifinals. I'd like to note that this round of the competition is happening live in Zoom and will simultaneously air live on the Graduate College YouTube channel. And to give you a sense of this year's competition, over 90 students are competing in the preliminary rounds, and around 36 will move on to the semifinals, and only 9 will advance to the finals, which will be held at 4 p.m. this Friday, December 1st in the Greenspun Auditorium. So, without further ado, let me introduce to you the judges, and then we'll get on with the 3MT Research Rumble. We have a set of very distinguished judges with us today. We are very fortunate to have Professor Linda Lister, who is in the School of Music in the College of Fine Arts. We are also pleased to have Assistant Professor Wendy Chen, who is from the English Department from the College of Liberal Arts. And also another judge we have today is Assistant Professor Jenny Kent, who is from the Department of Physical Therapy in the School of Integrated Health Sciences. And we also have Associate Professor John Zimmerman from the Department of Accounting from the Lee Business School. And finally, we have Professor Mei Yang, who is from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering from the College of Engineering. So welcome, and thank you for serving on our panel of distinguished judges today. So we are ready to begin the competition. Our first presenter is Nancy Carmen, who is in the Master of Science Geoscience degree program. And you may start, Nancy, in 3, 2, 1, go.
The question of where life has been contentious for a very long time. Scientists have invoked many environments to address this particular question. It seems that life needs a liquid solvent such as water, must be organic carbon-based, uses phosphorus, nitrogen, and other elements as nutrients, and must have energy to be able to have an organizing component to its environment to foster self-assembly. Now, 2 environments typify these requirements. There are hydrothermal fields on dry land and hydrothermal vents in the sea. Our group's interests are that of the hydrothermal vents in the sea. In particular, we simulate iron magnesium chimneys in the laboratory under relevant conditions to early Earth and the Eridania Basin on Mars. Specifically, we conduct experiments to determine how the iron-magnesium ratio of the seawater influences the chimney mineralogy under anoxic conditions and how drying and aging under low-grade hydrothermal temperatures would affect the formation of iron-magnesium minerals, the signs of which might be observable for future missions on Mars. Now, our iron-only chimney group 4A and A plus P suggested that the presence of iron sulfides and the possible oxidation product of hematite. By acting as a catalyst, iron sulfides could provide that energetic push, lowering the energy for carbon and hydrogen to react together and increasing the likelihood for the organics to form. Now, this is important as it is a stepping stone to contributing to the origins of life for the hydrothermal vents in the sea. Not only to the early Earth, the early Mars, but the icy moons Enceladus and Europa. Now, why is this important? We want to be able to understand how these chimneys form. How do they evolve, since each chimney is different? How do they interact with minerals, which can provide a window into the conditions that might have hosted life's emergence and evolution in the early Earth and Mars? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And at this time, we'll give the judges about a minute to do the scoring before we move on to our next presenter. Okay, thank you. And our next presenter is Kara Jones. She is currently in the Doctor of Philosophy Anthropology degree. And you may start, Kara, in 3, 2, 1.
Ivanpah Dry Lake is probably the most frequently visited lake along the California-Nevada border that you've never heard of. Ivanpah is host to numerous industry projects, which include solar fields, a golf course, toxic waste evaporation ponds, and most notably Interstate 15 connecting Las Vegas and Los Angeles. This lake has been thought to be dry since the end of the last ice age. However, recent geologic research has shown that not to be the case. Rather, Ivanpah Dry Lake is a paleo lake, which has been consistently refilling and drying up until 1,000 years ago. So what if I told you that Ivanpah is a diverse cultural landscape as well, which has spanned the last 10,000 years? The past 10 millennia created a lush wetland area with many resources, and the rocks remember this history. There are many archaeological sites out at Ivanpah Dry Lake that were reused for thousands of years by many people and cultural groups. These sites include hundreds of roasting features used to process wetland plants, hunting sites for hunting small game, as well as rock features used to capture tadpole shrimp. The lake is alive in names as well. The southern branch of the Nuwubi Southern Paiute are known as the Paranai, meaning the people with their feet in the water. These people used Ivanpah Dry Lake as a resource bed for many years. Additionally, the name Ivanpah is derived from the term Avimpa, the Nuwubi and Chemehuevi term meaning good, clear water. There are 2 indigenous trails which intersect at Ivanpah Dry Lake as well. The first trail, the Salt Song Trail, starts at Mount Charleston, also known as Nuvagantu, which is the birthplace of the Nuwubi Southern Paiute people. This trail ends at the mouth of the Grand Canyon with the cry, which is a ceremony which brings a departed person's soul to the afterlife. The Southern Fox Song Trail acts as a blanket which brings balance to all of creation and brings resources to those in need when called upon. All of these factors argue for preservation of this landscape. Ivanpah meets all 4 necessary criteria for nomination to the National Register of Historic Places. It also meets all criteria for nomination as a cultural landscape, which gains the most protection. The name of Ivanpah keeps the memory alive of having good and reliable water in the region for many people. We owe it to these people to preserve this landscape and let it be remembered for time immemorial. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kara. And we will give the judges about a minute to do the scoring.
I saw war.
Okay, now next up we have Godzin Ebenezer Ajovu, who is from the College of Engineering in the Doctor of Philosophy, Civil and Environmental Engineering program. And Godzin, you can start in 3, 2, 1.
Water, they say, is life, but it is also a scarce commodity which needs to be managed and protected. Out of the water available on Earth, only less than 1% is available for human use. This means the water needs to be managed, protected, and preserved. Remote sensing offers the capability to manage water in terms of its quality and quantity. With remote sensing, we can capture images on the surface of the earth using drones, airplanes, in order to assess the changes in the water. With remote sensing, we are able to see the changes in the quantity of water, just as in Lake Mead from the year 2000 to 2022, we can see the changes in the level of water. This elevation in water has dropped over the period. And with remote sensing, we are able to monitor this in real time without carrying out field work. With remote sensing also, we can be able to track changes in terms of the quality of water. So here in a study on the river now, we are able to see the changes in terms of turbidity, how clear the water is, which is a function of how organisms in the water behave. So just within few months, we are able to see a drastic change, and this is courtesy of remote sensing. So remote sensing offers that tool to be able to carry out this kind of study without necessarily going to the field to take data which are cost intensive and lab prohibitive. So with the power of remote sensing, we can be able to see changes in our natural phenomena like water without necessarily performing field work, which provided a whole tool for us to capture images within a period of time to do our study at the comfort of our home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Godson. And at this time, we will ask the judges to put in their ratings. Thank you, judges. And we are ready for our next slammer, who is Hossein Madhani. And Hossein is in the Doctor of Philosophy, Biological Sciences program. And when you are ready, in 3, 2, 1.
Imagine two closely related plant species living side by side in the same environment. These two species are so similar that they can't even interbreed. Yet there is a catch. The offspring that they produce are not viable or fertile. It means it's as if there is an invisible barrier between these two species, preventing them from successful gene exchange, which is one of the most important results of reproduction from an evolutionary point of view. Let's draw a parallel with horses and donkeys. These two species are similar enough to interbreed and produce mules. However, mules are typically infertile. It means that horses and donkeys cannot exchange genes through reproduction. So the unique mutations that contribute to horseness and donkeyness remains unique within each species. These invisible barriers between horses and donkeys, known as reproductive isolation barriers, or hybrid incompatibilities, are crucial to maintaining the uniqueness of every species. The emergence of these barriers between population is also a very fundamental step in the evolution of new species. Imagine one of these barriers emerge between two populations of the same species. This means that the members of those two populations can no longer exchange genes through reproduction. So the new mutation arising within each population cannot be shared with the other population. So it leads to accumulation of new and unique mutation in each population and make them different and setting a stage for the evolution of new species. In my PhD project, I'm exploring these invisible barriers between different populations of a group of trees in Hawaiian Island. We believe that there is a subset of genes that are responsible for inviability and infertility of the offspring produced by interpopulation breeding. These genes could be the key to understanding how new species evolve in trees. I'll just review for you one very important concept in evolutionary biology, which is reproductive isolation and its role in the evolution of new species. My research aims to explore the role of this process in the evolution of new species in Hawaii's diverse tree populations through comprehensive genomics analysis, potentially shedding light on one of the nature's most fascinating process, which is the evolution of new species. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hossein. And at this time, I'll ask the judges to please do the scoring. Thank you. Great, and next up we have Hallie Strong, who is in the Doctor of Philosophy Neuroscience program. And whenever you're ready, Hallie, in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is Haley Strong, and my thesis focuses on validating a novel TMS circuit to induce motor plasticity after stroke. So ischemic stroke is a leading cause of long-term disability throughout the world. It can impair daily motor functions and make tasks that were once seemingly easy become impossible, like tying your shoe or buttoning a shirt. Stroke does this by disrupting oxygen supply to brain tissue, leading to tissue death. This tissue death then causes or creates a wave of toxic excitability that spreads to the surrounding tissue. That wave of toxic excitability actually causes dendritic shearing and spine loss. This is really important because dendritic spines are the basis of communication for neural networks that allow us to move. You can think of this kind of like a light bulb in your house. If a wire is damaged and the electricity can't reach the endpoint, the light bulb won't turn on. And so just like this, stroke disrupts these wires, it damages the neural circuits, the messages don't reach their endpoint, and movement is impaired. And so what can we do as neuroscientists to help improve this for patients? Well, the goal of my work is using transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, to help improve motor outcomes. TMS is a method of non-invasively exciting neural tissue. And what you can do is actually place a TMS coil over the brain, or over the skull actually, and cause a person to move. This is really exciting because it means we're able to stimulate those movement networks that are damaged during stroke and hopefully use it to improve motor outcomes. So the goal of my work is to use a murine model of ischemic stroke and identify both the spatial and temporal time points for validating treatment after stroke. And a first step in this is to identify whether or not our murine model of TMS could actually evoke movement. And you can see in the lower left panel that upon placing a TMS coil over the rodent skull, we were able to initiate movement. And this was super exciting because it meant we can actually excite motor circuits and use this technology to examine its potential as a treatment for stroke. Next, I asked the question, okay, if we're able to excite motor circuits, are we actually causing plasticity of these circuits? Are those spines that we lost during stroke, could they potentially be improved or increased after TMS treatment? And you can see that compared to control, TMS increases dendritic spines. And so together, this work validates TMS as a potential treatment for stroke. And what I'm doing currently
Okay, and next up, we have Margot Tello, who is studying in the Doctor of Public Policy program. And whenever you're ready, Margot, in 3, 2, 1.
I'm looking into ways to reduce the reincarceration of women under community supervision in Nevada. Research indicates that gender-responsive approaches tailored to women's risks and needs yield far better outcomes. In Nevada, the incarceration of women has skyrocketed by 1,000% since 1980. Despite comprising a small percentage, women constitute the fastest growing prison population. Research delves into the intricate pathways leading women into crime, marked by experiences of victimization, abuse, poverty, mental health, and substance use. However, these women's risks and needs are often overshadowed by our current criminal justice system. The repercussions extend far beyond women, impacting families and our communities. 80% of justice-involved women are mothers, and when you incarcerate a woman, you incarcerate her whole family. Children of incarcerated mothers are more likely to experience behavioral health issues, mental health issues, juvenile delinquency, and academic impact. The cycle of incarceration exacerbates poverty and homelessness, with 50% of justice-involved women in Nevada grappling with mental health issues. The unsettling statistics continue, with over 40% of incarcerated women have experienced abuse compared to only 5% of men. Traditional criminal justice practices designed with gender-neutral approaches fall short in addressing the distinct needs and experiences of justice-involved women. These leads us to the crux, the revolving door of incarceration. As you can see, many justice-involved women are caught in this cycle, and their experiences with the criminal legal system echoes through generations. Children of incarcerated mothers are not only more likely to follow a similar path, but must also face the challenge of breaking free from this cycle. The importance of gender-responsive approaches become even more critical in the context of this revolving door. Our policies, practices, and programs must recognize the unique needs of justice-involved women to disrupt this cycle effectively. Gender-responsive approaches help us understand the distinct pathways into incarceration by women. In Nevada, where 80% of justice-involved women are nonviolent offenders and 55% are first-time offenders, and where a large majority are under community supervision, gender-responsive approaches can make a significant impact. These approaches connect women to appropriate services addressing domestic violence, abuse, trauma, and mental health, and they help reduce reincarceration of women. In conclusion, we find ourselves in the context between research, awareness, and a critical call to action. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margot. And at this time, the judges will have
Thank you so
time to
much.
do the scoring. Thank you.
When you have these
Okay, and our next slammer is Christine Jan Espinoza, and Christine is in the Doctor of Philosophy Higher Education program. And whenever you're ready, Christine, in 3, 2, 1.
So anecdotally, Las Vegas is known as the ninth island of Hawaii. And Clark County, which covers Las Vegas, Paradise, and Henderson, actually saw the largest numeric growth of Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, or NHPIs, in the entire United States from 2020 to 2021. And then outside of the state of Hawaii, Nevada is home to one of the largest Native Hawaiian populations. Yet year to year, UNLV has not been reporting similar NHPI student enrollment on annual IPEDS, or Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System surveys. So what is IPEDS? Colleges and universities participating in federal financial aid, aka FAFSA, are mandated to report institutional level data to the US Department of Education, including student racial enrollment, using IPEDS racial categories. So based on that racial category, and in that same year, in fall of 2021, UNLV only reported 240 NHPI undergraduate, graduate, and professional students, which is a little bit odd, right? Comparing that to the census count. So this led me then to my research question. How does counting using current IPEDS categories represent or misrepresent NHPI student enrollment? To answer this question, I use institutional level administrative data that is collected from UNLV undergraduate, graduate, and professional admissions applications and stored with the Office of Decision Support on unduplicated student counts from fall 2017 to fall 2021. And then I further disaggregated or filtered by racial categories. So what did I find? When accounting for students who are selecting NHPI as a category on admissions, a majority of them are actually not being reported as NHPI. Instead, most NHPI students are reported as 2 or more races and Hispanic or Latino. Why is this important? Colleges and universities like UNLV rely on these student racial enrollment counts to, one, of course, practically know what is a racial representation of their student bodies that then dictate or lead to the creation of racially or culturally relevant and responsive teaching, programs, services. But if a student count seems small, maybe it's not a critical mass. So going back to that fall 2021 semester, rather than there just being 240 students, there was actually 1,653 students identifying in part as NHPI. So what we're really finding is IPEDS racial categories runs counter to this idea of an expansive Oceania and is not truly counting NHPI students on our campus. And this begs us to question, we need to question the data because numbers are not neutral. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. And at this time, I invite the judges to do the scoring. Okay, and last but not least, we have Carlos Tkach, who is in the Doctor of Philosophy English degree program. And whenever you're ready, Carlos, you may begin. 3, 2, 1.
All right, thank you for that introduction. And since I'm last, I just want to say thank you to everybody for presenting. It's really wonderful to be a part of this. So my research, which is still in a preliminary phase, I'm just starting my dissertation phase now, kind of starts from this observation that was popularized by Mark Fisher, who was borrowing it from a few other thinkers. It's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. And, you know, I study novels, specifically novels from the 21st century, but I'm also interested in pop culture overall. And you kind of see this way of imagining the future, or maybe this inability to imagine the future, playing out in a lot of our fictions and a lot of our narratives that are popular these days. I think even today it was that the Booker Prize went to a dystopian fiction. And so we see this with movies, we see this all over the place, even in music, I've noticed it coming up. And I think this is a really interesting problem, especially as we try to imagine how we can move forward and address the issues that are coming with the Anthropocene, which is the name that's been given to this epoch we're in now, where human activity has altered the history of the Earth and altered the Earth itself. This is one of the pressing problems of our time. And I'm really interested in how our narratives, the stories we tell ourselves, are trying to address that problem. It's kind of become really popular in the literary circles to say that literature has failed to address this problem. I think really in a lot of ways, that's a question of who we're looking at and what genres we're willing to really address in our research. So I'm really interested in speculative fiction. Broadly, that's science fiction and fantasy, but it also includes things like horror. I think that this is a place where the genre norms are really, really good at addressing these problems, have been addressing these problems for a really long time, going all the way back to Dune in the 1960s. In particular, I'm interested in speculative fictions that come from settler states, because the Anthropocene in the research circles that I run in, like global Anglophone studies and world systems theory, is tied to colonialism, is tied to capitalism. And so I think of settler states, particularly the United States, Australia, and South Africa, as these places where these competing visions of the past and the present kind of coalesce into competing visions of the future. You know, if you are a settler state and you want to build a nation on settled land, you have to have a version of history that allows you to do that. We see that in the United States all the time. I think about my education in California. And so my research looks at speculative fiction that comes from both settler and indigenous populations from these places in order to see how they're taking the genre of speculative fiction and adapting it to try to address these problems, to try to imagine futures that maybe give us another option other than just the end of the world. And so hopefully, I mean, I don't know what I'll discover yet because I'm not there yet in my research, but that's where I'm going. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carlos. And at this time, we will have the judges do the scoring for Carlos. While they are doing the scoring, I'll just like to say thank you so much for joining us in this preliminary round. And really a special thank you to the Graduate Academy team, Alyssa and Jessica, who's working behind the scenes to make this event a successful one. They've been working all day behind the scenes with all these different sessions, so they were able to make this 3MT event possible. Okay, so right now then, the judges are doing their final scoring for Carlos. We are also asked to please stay tuned because our team is doing the backup of doing the tallying of all the results from today's session. And we're going to announce the winners live in just a few minutes. And the judges are working hard to do the scoring. And then remember, judges, to hit the submit button when you're ready so that our tallying can begin. And remember, for this preliminary round, while only the top 3 winners of this round will progress to the semifinals, all of you slammers who competed will receive a grad slam, a Rebel Grad Slam t-shirt. And so slammers, you can get your t-shirts during the Rebel Grad Slam finals reception this Friday. And the prize scale for this event, remember, for preliminary rounds, first place winners will receive $300. Second place winners will receive $200, and our third place winner will receive $100. So they are really well deserved, but again, everybody's a winner because you do get a chance to pick up your unique t-shirt this Friday in the reception area. So we just need a few minutes left because I'm told that all the scores are in, so we're doing our magic. Jessica, who is behind the scenes, doing the tally right now, and we probably can ask for some human drum rolls in waiting for the final results in a few seconds. That's coming. So just hang on, and I'll be right back with the announcement of the first 3 top finishers. Okay, and so are you ready? I kept you in suspense for long enough. We are ready, I believe, to announce the winners of this preliminary session. I will start with the 3rd place finisher today. 3rd place goes to Godson Ebenezer Ajovu. Congratulations, you placed 3rd. And drum roll for the 2nd place winner for today's session. It goes to Haley Strong. Congratulations, Haley. And our 1st place winner today is Christine Jan Espinoza. Congratulations on a 1st place finish today. Congratulations to all of you, all our slammers today. And thank you, distinguished judges, for your after hours hard work. Without you, this event would not be possible. And thanks again for your participation, everyone. Please join us for the semifinals. Remember, it starts this Thursday, November the 30th at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1:30 p.m. in the Student Union. We also have the finals this Friday, December the 1st at 4 p.m. in the Greenspun Auditorium. And lastly, we will have your Grad Rebel Slam t-shirts available in the finals reception area at 5 p.m. in the Greenspun Auditorium lobby. And if you would like to join us for the finals, I have pasted in the chat the link, a RSVP link to the finals. So if you can please cut and paste that or just click on that and RSVP to that event, we would really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much, everyone. It was a thrilling, exciting session today. Please have a safe and relaxing evening for today. And so take care. We will see you soon. Have a good night, everyone.